Okay, we're recording live, and we're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, we're good to go. And so it's going to pop up on Building Bellingham. And I'm going to go ahead and share this really quickly, and then we can get rolling. Share it. Boom. Okay, awesome. So you can share it now. Mr. Jeff Savage.
Hey man, how you doing,
Thanks
Leo?
for joining me.
What's that?
So thanks for joining me from the home office today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know Jeff Savage, he's someone who I've gotten to know over the last year and a half. We've started to have more conversations, bigger conversations about life and business and whatnot. And so, Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about what you do, where you're from, how you ended up here in Bellingham, things like that.
Sure. I'm from Federal Way originally. I came up to go to Western in '99, so just over 20 years ago. I was probably many who love it here, and I was fortunate to stay. I was a Pepsi salesman and driver for a number of years, and then I've been an insurance agent for the past 6.5 years with Country Financial, offices in Fairhaven. I just love Bellingham, the town, the city, the people. It's been great.
Yeah. So what was one of the things for you that stuck? Because you and I are the same. If you went to Western and I went to Western, and we could have gone back to the Seattle area, but what was something for you that really stuck out about Bellingham and why you wanted to raise a family here, be here?
Yeah, I'd say the pace of life. Like when you're in King County and you're stuck in traffic and it takes 45 minutes to go across town, like that
Yep.
just for me drives me nuts. So just Bellingham, how beautiful it is. It's easy to get around. You've got the mountains, the trees, the water. There was just no, for me there was if I could do anything I could, I was gonna stay here as opposed to moving back to King County.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have that in common for sure. So how did you get into insurance? What did this? How did that unfold for you?
Yeah, so I'd been like I said, Pepsi salesman and driver for a number of years, and just was kind of seeing what else was out there. Talked to a friend of mine who also works for Country Financial, and just the timing was right. There was a opening at the time, almost 7 years ago. Came on board, got mentored. It was just a great fit with just the culture and the company, just solid people, a solid company who cares about their employees and cares about their clients. So it's been honestly just a great fit. I just feel like it's pretty natural for me to help people, to take care of them. That's what I kind of feel like we're doing with insurance, is just helping people understand what's important and what they need to protect, and then just making good recommendations. So it's been right up my alley, just having great households to work with and to kind of track with through the years as life changes and family changes. It's been kind of a great fit just to work with a great number of households.
It's awesome to hear. Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that whole concept of, um, you know, building a business is about what you're passionate first, right? It's about that first, right? And then as a byproduct, you can build your own life, right? So you start with what you're passionate about, then all that comes. For you, you've been building this business for a while now, and we've all had to pivot recently. What does the word pivot mean to you? Adapt? What is that? What do those words mean to you?
Yeah, it's been a good question. I like what Wes said yesterday. I mean, pivot, a big part of it's like you're stuck in your kind of your business. It doesn't mean for me that I go from being an insurance agent to a welder or, something just completely different. It means how do I change, within the business that I do? How am I willing to change and adapt and talk to clients differently and customers differently? For me, I've been big on like, hey, let's grab lunch, let's grab coffee, let's sit down, let's talk face to face. And with clients, hey, let's look at some papers here in person and go over things. And so for me, in this time of the coronavirus and all that, the pivot's been changing how I communicate with people, using the technologies that are available, Skype and Zoom, that I hadn't done much with, or becoming staples, even little things like sending, recording a little video on my iPhone and sending it to, a friend or a client or a business partner. All sorts of different technologies are out there that this situation for me is causing me to use. But pivot for me just means, how are you willing to be open to different modes of communication and different ways of taking care of your clients and finding new clients?
You said something just now that's like, it's so key. It's being willing to, right? And it's not to say that you as a business person, just because all of this has hit everyone pretty hard, right? And just because you've been a successful business person or somebody else has been a successful business person, this is not to go out and say that how you've done things wasn't the right way of doing it. It's saying that like right now, this is changing. And so what I love about our conversations especially over the last couple of weeks have been, you're like, Leo, I hate social media. I don't want to be on social media, but I need to adapt and I need to figure out the best way to present myself on social media. So for you, like adapting has been about, and for me as well, is getting out of your comfort zone. Tell me how this has pushed you outside of your comfort zone as a business owner and as an entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, I think one of the big things was our conversation we had a week or two ago. I was looking at somebody like yourself who has a great social media presence and hosts a podcast, and reach out to you and just say, hey, can I pick your brain on how you do business the way you do it, and how do you do social media? And we had a great conversation. I took pages of notes and going to try to implement some stuff. So, that was a big part, just reaching out to somebody who does business in a way that I respect and kind of pick their brain, being open to doing that sort of method of promotion, which, like I said, Facebook's not normally my favorite thing, but, hey, how can I promote, what we're doing? How can I leverage this tool? What are some different ways that people do it well and don't do it well? And just being willing to ask and being willing to implement. It's funny. I kind of had this feeling that 2020, I was going to be open to some new stuff and kind of maybe try some different things, maybe even fail more, was one of my goals for the year. And so then when this coronavirus situation hit, it was even more so, hey, how can I be open to some different, methods of communication, to social media, to videos, kind of things different than I've done before.
It's interesting because we've talked about this on a few of the shows, but you and I have talked about this too. It's kind of like we were forced into doing the things that were on our someday maybe list. Do you feel like that's kind of a reality for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for our company, we were forced to embrace e-signatures and, some of those types of technologies that we hadn't before. It just kind of accelerated some of that stuff that, someday we'll learn how to do it. No, I mean, I think it's been probably for a lot of people, it's forced them to change how they do business. And I think when we come out of this to our new normal or abnormal or whatever the term is, I think a lot of us will have learned some stuff and will have gotten better at some certain areas of business or communicating that we wouldn't have done before. So for a lot of us, I think it's, there's going to be a lot of good that comes from it. Like I said, I've probably maybe did Zoom once before this whole situation, and now it's almost a regular daily occurrence. And I'm putting Zoom meetings together for my family and cousins and, business partners, things I, never would have expected before this. So good is coming from it. I think it's challenging us to embrace the change and the technologies that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. How has this been for your business? How has this affected the financial as a whole, and how has this affected your specific business? Maybe has it been a tough hit, or are you able to operate kind of like a lender would operate more remotely? Or has that hit you a little bit harder because a lot of your business is like, hey, you want to grab coffee? Hey, you want to grab a lunch? Can't really grab coffee or lunch right now. How has that impacted your business?
Yeah, for the most part, my business has been pretty steady. A lot of my business is just people whose home insurance is part of their mortgage, whose car insurance is just set up, running automatically. So I've been fortunate. It hasn't necessarily meant like, say, a 50% decrease in my business or what I make. What we've seen is that, certain clients are being forced to stay home and maybe laid off and not driving. And, they're trying to find ways to be creative to save some money. But it's also causing people just to think, about these kind of worst case scenarios, and maybe is there, some insurance that I've been, putting off that's been on my to-do list, and now this is forcing me to think about it. It's crazy because that's what we do in insurance is we help protect against that worst case scenario. And here's this, unfathomable worldwide pandemic. And, back in February on Super Bowl Sunday, we had this massive flooding up in Nooksack and Everson, just these crazy events. So, sometimes these events just make our clients and our friends, think about the stuff they don't normally think about. And sometimes they'll end up pursuing some insurance that they've been kicking down the road, or getting life insurance when they hadn't considered it before. So for the most part, business is still rolling. We're able to work remotely, which we're thankful for. It's also making people think about some things they don't normally think about.
Absolutely. And there's, this is bigger than just our local community here. It's a huge worldwide, epidemic or pandemic, as they would call it. But you're a huge part of this community here. And one thing you did recently, which I thought was amazing, was through Vitality Bowls. They've been working really hard to donate smoothies to all of our healthcare professionals. And what you did was you just opened up a tab, and they opened up the door, opened up a tab, and it was, that was amazing. Tell me a little bit more about, like, what does this community mean to you, and like how important are those healthcare workers to you?
Yeah, well, the healthcare workers and police officers and firefighters, I mean, they've always been important to us and our company, but, especially in this time when they're on the front lines, a lot of us are just staying home, avoiding other people, and they're out there going and, interacting with people and coming into contact with people and really put themselves on the line. And so my thought from the beginning when this all went down is, there's some cool people doing some cool stuff. There was NBA players, paying salaries for arena workers, and I was on the lookout for, what's something cool that I could do. And so this event kind of came together. My dad is a restaurant owner here in Bellingham. I know the struggle that owning a restaurant can be. So it was exciting to think, hey, I could help bless, some healthcare workers and first responders with a meal and a smoothie, and also support a local business. And so that's kind of how it came together. And it was cool to work with Amanda, at Vitality Bowls. Just her attitude of, hey, this is a crazy time and this is killing our business, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to donate smoothies and, take them to the hospital. It really was attractive. So it was kind of cool to pick her business and work with her to do this. We fed 317 first responders on Friday with meals and smoothies. So it was a cool event. It supported a local business. And I hope it let people know that we appreciate those in our community who are on the front line.
Absolutely. I want to dive even deeper into the core of that. How do you, in a time where there's scarcity, it seems like there's scarcity, right? We feel like maybe a lot of people are being laid off, or their businesses are in a really tough position. Or how do you, as a person, think, well, my first response is to figure out how I can give. How do you give when you have nothing? Or not saying that you have nothing, but how do you give when you have less? Tell me a little bit more about your mindset on that.
Well, it's a little bit of pivoting. I mean, maybe we all had some plans for how we were going to do some marketing and some events through the years. And then this, whole COVID situation threw a curveball into our year. So for me, it was just pivoting what I was going to do later this year. And I've been blessed with a bunch of great households to work with and great business partners. And I felt like I was in a position to do something cool, to support some other people. So for me, it was a bit of just pivoting some of the resources I was maybe going to use later in the year for some different types of events, and just move those up now and do something that I was hoping was going to be pretty cool and be cool for our community. And honestly, I hope other people saw it and are maybe thinking similar stuff. I mean, there's already people out there doing great stuff. There's that cool Facebook group, Wacom Helpers, and there's already people out there doing great stuff, and it's been cool to see. And this was kind of my chance to jump in and do something cool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. Appreciate that. And you and I've talked a little bit about discomfort too. And would you agree with me that that's totally it breeds innovation and growth when when you're out of your comfort zone?
I'd agree. Absolutely.
So who are you as a person? Who like what makes you really uncomfortable, and what are you doing right now to grow out of that in this time?
Well, just as a person, I'm more of a introvert, a one-on-one, let's connect, in a Starbucks or a Woods Coffee sort of guy. Um, Getting outside my comfort zone is doing something like this. It's doing a Facebook Live. It's, promoting an event, kind of putting myself out there. It's recording a funny video and sending it to somebody. It's talking to somebody like you, somebody who's, younger than me, who's better at a lot of things than me, and just being willing to listen and to learn. Yeah, so those are some of my thoughts there.
Yeah. Well, and then, just so you know, I'm pretending like I'm good at things so that my wife still wants to be with me.
Nice.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. but but anyways, I know what you're saying though. It's like it's owning who you are, and it's not to say be someone that you're not. But this is an awesome time for us to say, what's that one thing we could do every day? It doesn't have to be the big frog to eat in the morning, if you will, but it could
Hmm.
be what are those little things every day that build up to the thousand cuts, death by a thousand cuts, right?
Hmm.
And I think we can really focus on what pushes us out of that. So I just wanted to commend you for, first of all, you're an awesome guy in getting to know you. I've only heard nothing. I've heard nothing but good things about people that have also, worked with you throughout the years in business. But to hear that, like, this is a time where, I mean, you've been doing this for a while, but now this is a time where you're like, well, I don't really like this pivot here, but I'm going to just go for it. So what has that experience been like for you? Um, like recognizing that what you've been doing has been working, but what might be on the other side is not the same.
Yeah, no, it's been a good experience. Like all the stuff I've done where I've put myself out there a bit in the last couple months has been, on the other side of it. I'm glad I did it. There's new reps who'll start with my company, and I'll tell them, hey, you should, be open to trying all the different ways to do business. Do an event, do Facebook, do this and that. And so I kind of felt like I needed to follow my own advice this year and try some different things. And not all of it's going to work out, and that's fine. I think it's okay even to set a goal of, hey, I'm going to try to do a couple events that just by the end I say maybe they were a failure, but kind of set some goals of being willing to fail more, not to think that everything has to be perfect. But in everything that I've embraced through the years where I've tried some stuff and put myself out there and joined a networking group and put myself up in front of them and did presentations, it's all paid off in the end, where I'm more comfortable and more willing to do business and be in front of others. So, I think it's a good thing for us to try to do something each day that's outside of our comfort zone, or once a week, or, to kind of be willing to embrace the uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So what has it also been like for you at home, being not in the office, having, running a team, and then also, having your family at home? What is that like for you? Because granted, I might seem like I'm in outer space right now, but I'm actually in my second bedroom.
Oh, gotcha.
I know, I tricked you. But what has that been like for you being at home?
It's been a good experience. It's kind of fun to see my wife and my kids, for lunch when I come out of my bedroom slash office, and to see them, or to go on a walk around the block, midday with my kids. It's been fun. It's also made, me think of what possibilities there might be in the future if, maybe I could work remotely, in some future year when the kids are out of the house, and maybe I could work for a month or two in some nice warm place, as opposed to, Bellingham in January. So it's kind of opened up different possibilities, but it's been fun to be around more. It comes with its own challenges sometimes, but my family's been great. They kind of give me the space to work, and, it's great to see them more, and to kind of close up the laptop and walk right out and be with them is
Being
really
home,
nice.
no commute.
No, it's been great. Not
Not
that the
the
commute
commute
around
is bad
Bellingham's
going
rough.
in, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what about weatherproofing? How do you, for you as a business owner, um, and being somebody that your whole business is around guiding others on how to prepare for, potential disasters, or, life events or whatever they may be. How do you weatherproof your business? How do you apply that to your own business and say, someday this could, what kind of insurance am I putting on my business to ensure that in these situations that you survive and thrive?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think a lot of people have had some good answers. I think just to run a lean business and I think this time has caused a lot of us just to look and see if there's some extra stuff that doesn't need to be there, extra expenditures or whatnot. But this time is, I think, making a lot of us prepare for a situation like this in the future, where you see that, it makes sense to have 3 to 6 months in reserves, and, maybe a line of credit to tap into if, things completely went crazy. So I think that'll be probably another positive that comes out of this, is how much this next generation who's been impacted by this, how much we'll be prepared for a future situation like it.
And what's the first thing you cut? What was your first thought? Was it the Uber Eats bill you had there, or was it? I mean, what was the first thing you thought of that was like your red items? Get out, go, you gotta go.
There weren't too many. I mean, it's made me not be able to go to Woods and Starbucks as much, since I can't, be in there and sit down and have my normal time. But there hasn't been too much that was blatant, that was just obvious that needed to be cut. I'd already been running a pretty lean ship, and so I think that's been helpful, just that this time isn't as stressful, therefore. But there wasn't anything too massive or major that had to be cut.
I love that. So it sounds like this was not even, you were prepared for, you weren't expecting this, but you were prepared, maybe unintentionally. You were just like, I'm just going to prep my business to always be this way, so that no matter what, the market can be great. My business can boom, or it can be down, but you're going to be fine. You're protecting your family. So when you're weatherproofing your business, you're weatherproofing your family. Mm-hmm. And that's so big. And so when you have, I love talking about this, because when you have these booming months, say you have a boom of a month, say we're not in a situation like this, how do you keep your lifestyle? How do you not get excited by how well you're doing that month? And this is something I'd love to share with other business owners, because we tend to get on this roller coaster of awesome month, let's go do this. Terrible month, let's cut everything. How do you kind of mitigate that the size of your roller coaster?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think like a lot of other business owners, there's months that are killer and there's months that are not. And for mine's pretty consistent. I know which ones are which, to be honest. My winter months are usually pretty brutal. So I think having a plan, a yearly plan, both personal budget and business wise, has been very helpful. Just projecting, hey, these are what these months are probably going to look like. I need to have, enough saved up in these months to make it through the leaner months. Similar with the family budget, just knowing which months tend to be, more expenses than others. Just trying to do your best to forecast out maybe 12 months, but also being flexible enough to say, to be able to make adjustments as the year goes on. But I think having the 12-month plan, the 12-month budget, has been helpful, both from a business perspective and a personal perspective.
That's awesome. Yeah. And a lot of people don't operate on a tight budget, and it's actually baffling to me, because it's so important. It's not just your personal life. It's how you run your business, right? Because your business, ultimately, when you treat it well and it's healthy, it treats you well, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
What's some stuff that you guys have done in your business for weatherproofing and preparing for a situation like this?
I knew this was going to come. So we had a great year last year, but we actually had one of our lowest kind of month and a half, which was middle of November to end of December. So that was pretty tight for our team. And so we actually started cutting redlining a lot of items that we didn't need at that time in December. And that was just to survive the month of December. So it was kind of wild that we had that experience ahead of time. So when we came to this, everybody was kind of ready. And so it was that was a huge blessing in disguise. We thought it was the worst, part of the year, but it was also at the worst possible time. But it was also preparing us in a way for what was to come. So some things that we've done, we've completely focused on our business on like a network based business. So it's all about events like you do. It's all in-person stuff. It's all, taking people to coffee. It's like, it's just focusing on the relationship. And, it's also guiding people at times, even especially right now, that where people might feel like they need to sell their house or buy a house, but it might not be in their best interest. So being a kind of a financial guide of like, hey, this is actually not a good time for you to do this. Like, here's what you could do as an alternative. But just like focusing on what's most important to people and cutting our online spend has been huge. So that's how, I don't know that I'm as good of a planner as you are, but that's how we made it happen. So, but it's not over yet. So, how do you see this on the other side? What do you think? What's in your crystal ball as far as the insurance world on the other side?
Well, that's a good question. And I don't have a crystal ball. And in fact, I'm trying to limit my consumption of news and all the articles. But, I think people are going to be more, I think people are still going to have some of the same needs, but they're going to be, more open to using different ways to communicate, using Zoom, using Skype. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know what the new abnormal is going to look like. I don't even really have a great answer there, but I think people still have some of the same fundamental needs. I think it'll just be, people will be more open to just different ways of communicating and getting their needs met.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, before we wrap up, do you have anything else you'd like to say? I just really appreciate your time and having you on the show. And anything else you'd like to say?
Keep this podcast going. It's been helpful to me and others. We've listened in. It's been fun just to see different business leaders from the community. So keep doing this. It's been helpful to a lot of us.
Awesome. Yeah. And for those of you that missed what Jeff and Amanda and Josh with Vitality Bowls did, it's all over Facebook. It's super awesome. Just awesome guy. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you. Glad we're getting to know each other better. And thank you from outer space here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Leo.
All right, Jeff. All right.